Named after the mountain in the Bible from which Moses saw a view of the Promised Land, Mount Nebo, west of Dardanelle, is a popular recreation and camping destination. The last time we paid a visit to Mount Nebo, we did a little mountain biking on one of the trails. Well, this time we decided to come back after a late winter glaze and take you down to the Mount Nebo cascade and waterfall. To get to the trailhead after reaching the top of the mountain, turn left and then take the first right, which will take you down to the Gum Springs Trail parking area.
To access the Waterfall grotto, we're going to go partway down the Gum Springs Trail. It's a little bit of a strenuous trail that runs beside this creek, but we only have to go down it for about 10 minutes. And then we'll see something special.
As soon as you begin walking down the trail, you'll first notice the cascade to your left. This cascade tumbles down all the way along the trail, and after about 100 yards or so, it creates Mount Nebo Falls at the bottom of the bluff.
Our Gum Springs Trail is one of our more popular trails because of the waterfall. This is a really popular site that people want to hike in and see. And it's something that you can't see from the road. You kind of have to come down here and experience it for yourself. Unfortunately, not very many people come in the winter time, because it is colder, but I really do enjoy the, kind of the stark beauty that this place has at this time of year. Other times of the year in the springtime when these red buds and sassafras are blooming, it's really beautiful. Our waterfall is seasonal, so it does depend on how much precipitation we're getting to keep the spring that feeds it flowing. But it does flow most of the year. And Mount Nebo is really popular and beautiful place. Lots of people come here and hike. And I encourage everybody to come out and see the natural beauty of this place.
Jeremiah, this is one of the few waterfalls that you can easily go underneath. Very few folks experience that on the other side of a waterfall.
Yeah, it's one of the really neat things about this little grotto that our waterfall is in. It's really accessible and it's really fun. It's a great place to check out and take some neat photos.
Yeah, it's really a different perspective taking it over here, on the other side of the falls.
Yeah. In the summertime when it's hot and this waterfall is flowing, this is a place to be. It's a lot cooler. It's a little cool right now in here, but later on in the year this will be great.
Whichever of the 7 trails you decide to hike at Mount Nebo, one thing is a must. Do not leave before enjoying one of the spectacular sunsets at Sunset Point. Situated not too far from the banks of the Spring River in North Arkansas, the town of Hardy boasts of being the smallest town in Arkansas with a Main Street program. Population 772, salute! There are 41 buildings on the historic register here, and we're going to check out a few. Well, here inside Memory Lane Mall in Hardy, I noticed something in the window. This toy tractor. When I was a kid, I had one exactly like this one. And wish I would have kept it because the price tag is $275. Established in the 1880s as a railroad town, downtown Hardy really hasn't changed all that much throughout the years. It remains as a tiny mecca for antiques and crafts, such as at the Ozark Classic Crafts Mall. Mark, right. Do you mind if we check out
Not at all.
place, okay?
Come on in. Welcome to see.
The Ozark Classic Crafts Mall, Chuck, is a 28-year business. We celebrate our 28th year this July, and we are dedicated to craft art in the Ozarks. We host and brag that we've got over 100 artists, local artists here at the Crafts Mall, and it's just an amazing, fun place of imagination and creativity.
And this is one of the first shops in Hardy.
Back in the 80s, after the flood, there were a number of stores that opened up. This was one of the four that opened, and it's been a continuous crafts mall for over 28 years now.
Tell us about the wide array of crafts.
Well, we do everything from quilting to candle making to woodworking. We do all sorts of signs, plaques, words, thoughts, etching in stone, glass, marble, you name it, and we pretty much can do it.
Even a Harry Potter wand.
These artists are exceptional.
Mark's claim to fame is something called a calming cross, which also doubles as a wooden angel.
I mean, if you think about angels in heaven, you know, they're not corporeal like we are. They're little floating things, and they wait for the Department of Assignments, and then they come down and help us. I'm a maker of wooden angels, which is really amusing. I laugh about it all the time, and I just had a call from a woman whose husband died with it in her hands.
My goodness.
And now she has it. So it's been a real godsend. It really has.
Handcrafted quilts are a mainstay in Arkansas, and in the quilt shop you can find quite a few of them to pick and choose from. In the pottery shop, we found Leanne Maddox throwing a few Winnie the Pooh honey pots.
I went to college to major in art, and I just kind of fell in love with the pottery making portion of it, and it actually kind of came easy to me at the time, so we might tend to go with what comes easy, right? And I guess in some ways I always thought I would go into painting or drawing, but I met my husband there. He was also making pottery at the time.
And so tell us about these Winnie the Pooh honey pots.
Oh, well, you know, basically they contain honey, and I make them with kind of a round belly for just the reason that you said. They do kind of not only is the shape pleasing, but it does make them more functional too. This is the pot itself. Tomorrow, make some lids that will go on there. And I'll cut a notch in this lid tomorrow so that you can put a honey dipper in there.
In the dulcimer shop, you can try out one of several different kinds of dulcimers. There's also the hammered dulcimer. Popular in the Ozarks, the mountain dulcimer has been around for quite some time. The mountain dulcimer actually originated in Appalachia.
Nobody knows who or exactly where or when, but they just kind of come out of the Appalachians. And I think probably the Civil War was more instrumental than anything in kind of getting them around the country. A lot of the Union soldiers were in the southeast and in the south and in the Appalachian Mountains and come across this strange instrument. Would take them home. I read one account where a Union soldier from Minnesota, he took a stick and he marked where the frets were supposed to be, and he went home to Minnesota after the war and made him one.
So I guess that's the way they eventually got into the Ozarks.
Yeah.
And bring in one more, the bow psaltery, which can be traced back to biblical times.
Is this Center Point?
This is Center Point. The old schoolhouse used to be the foundation over there, Just
Wait a minute.
Across Need, just across Need.
Her name was Eva Barnes Henderson, but everyone knew her simply as Granny. Granny was the last of a breed, you might say, which is probably why back in the late 70s, National Geographic magazine did an article on her when she was living in a rustic cabin down at the end of Center Point Road in the upper portion of the Buffalo National River. The audio recording of Granny is actually from another interview that author Blair Dietering of Austin, Texas did when he also interviewed her about the same time for a school book project.
I wonder what they're going to do with these old houses. Tear them down, or they did say they're going to just use here like this old up here.
This segment is about our hike with Dietering to Granny's cabin, 3.5 miles down what is now Center Point Trail.
Oh, wow. And the old stove is here, at least I think it's the old stove. The original wallpaper that she had in the house, which flowers, she had that. That was all over the walls. You can see some of it over here. She had a pump organ, which was over in this corner, which the family owns, still has that. And her bed is over in this location right here. She would take visitors, and she had 2 rocking chairs that would sit right here. And she would sit there and rock and just talk. And hopefully over the chickens and everything else that we could hear back here. It was pretty loud sometimes. But this was the entrance I think she used most. That was the one in which I've got several pictures of her riding to people, just parked right inside that front entrance. The other room over here was the kitchen. I've been wanting to come back down here for, 20, 30 some odd years. I did not want to do it alone because, as you can tell by the hike coming down here, it's a challenging hike, and when you get to the point where you're a little bit more mature, you're thinking a little bit more wiser than you did as a kid who used to come down here in an old car hoping you're going to get out.
Yeah, when the road was open.
When the road was open. It was a challenging road then. It's even a more challenging hike now. But for whatever reason,
that's all right.
This is going to get to me a little bit.
Well, Granny had a special effect on everybody, I guess.
Yeah, I mean,
I wish I knew her.
I mean, we all have our own grandparents, and all of our grandparents are special. But anybody that ever came down here, and I will put this forefront, that was nice to her. She gave that back to them as much as possible. She typified. I mean, she was everybody's grandmother. She kind of looked over you, even though you didn't know you were being looked over, which I found that out. But she was always willing to welcome people. I'm not the first person to ever have met her. I was probably way back in the list somewhere. I just happened to come by towards the latter part of her life, and was fortunate enough to be a part of that, along with some of her other friends that she had around here that she introduced me to. I've had pictures of her up on my wall for 33 years. She had 3 washboards. She had a glass washboard, she had a tin washboard, and I believe she had either a brass or copper. I can't remember which one it was. All 3 of them had particular features. They did certain things. The glass, I think she said, was for fine linens. And I think the brass or copper was for medium dirt. And she says if you really had something dirty, it was tin.
The life that she lived here, I mean, people would say, my gosh, this was a hard life. But to her, it wasn't.
No, she loved it. She loved it. In fact, she hated the thought. She really, really hated the thought of leaving here. And I think her grandson says, well, we can bring you back. And she says, no, once I leave, I'm not coming back. She says, I do not want to see it again after I leave. It just meant that much to her. I mean, she had her animals here. She had her farm here. She had this incredible view, which I kind of forgot about that. Of course, you look out here now, and I'm seeing a bunch of trees, and what she saw was a big open field with animals, with cows, with horses, that type of thing. She didn't have running water. She had a well, and of course, by the time I got here, it had run dry, so some neighbors would help her with the water. Up until then, she would take 2 5-gallon buckets and go down to the river over here and pick up the water and bring it back. Now, 5 gallons each, that's a lot of weight. But, and of course, I never crossed her, didn't really want to. My first experience with her, it was meeting her in the woods down near Sneed Creek, and we didn't even know anybody lived up here. We'd camped down on the river and heard somebody chopping wood. And we thought, well, we're gonna go investigate, see who's chopping wood around here. And I found this little short woman that was under 5 feet tall with a double blade axe just whacking away. And she was up on the hill, and we were looking up at her and asked her who she was, and she told us, oh, she lives up the hill, come on up and we'll visit. And me and another person went up there and had a chance to visit with her. And was astonished that anybody still lived down here, and especially astonished that somebody lived down here with what we consider to be lack of electricity or water or plumbing, that type of thing. That kind of astonished me at the time, but she was so used to it, it was just second nature to it. For her to live in a house that was modern by our standards would have, I think, confused her. I think when she did eventually move into a house that way, she just didn't know what to do with it. She was so used to this, and this was her space, and she knew it well. I mean, she could tell you things about this land back then that it'd take you and me eons to figure out. She was her own weather forecaster. She provided for herself. And I mean, she was, gosh, in her 80s, mid-80s, still living down here by herself.
Remarkable woman. Granny's grandson, Howard Villines of nearby Compton, reminisced about the times with his granny.
Last few months that she lived down there, I was down there, and we went down the river, and she carried water from the river and put it in a tub for her calves. And I've got a tree out here that it's a sweet gum tree that I went and pulled up. It was about 1 foot tall. It was about like a match stem. And now this tree is probably 50 foot tall. When we started leaving out, she looked back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's, after living there for so many years, it is tough to leave a home place.
She looked back to see it for her last time, to be there.
Yeah. Blair Dietering shared with us a poem he wrote when he first visited Granny.
Through the midst of many hollows, where all of time stands still, there blows the wind of memories throughout these rugged hills. And though the wind may vary, there's a lesson to be heard. It's spoken by the past and by the everlasting word. Oh, to bring again the days when life was oh so fine, to live once more the good old days when now is what we find. We hope to find tomorrow what we find in memories past, find the good things in our lives and pray that they will last. In the midst of many hollows, I find the day is gone, and the winds of many memories continue blowing strong. To bring again the old life is to enter in the new. In the midst of many hollows, the love for life still true.
So make the hike for yourself along the Center Point Trail north of Ponca and spend some time at the home place of Granny Henderson, who was an inspiration to many of those who lived along the Buffalo National River. And for more on this destination, plus many of our others, or to order a copy of an episode, visit our brand new and expanded website at aetn.org/exploringarkansas. And we'll see you again the next time for another exciting adventure on Exploring Arkansas.